Our channel has exploded in popularity since the last episode of Strive for Global Power, so I thought we should make a recap video of the series, which also happens to be the first 50 episodes out of the planned 100. So wait, what's Strive for Global Power? Strive for Global Power, or as we'll call it, SFGP, is a show on this channel made by me, mellohi. Started 5 years ago when I was 13. It's a show where paper cutouts of countries compete in team challenges, where usually one team loses per episode, and the members of the losing team vote out another teammate. Sometimes there are double eliminations, and even more that we'll get into. The last person standing will eventually win the prize of global power. In this video, we'll go over what happened in each of the first 50 episodes. Episode 1, Pre-Contest Greetings. This episode takes place in 2011, where South Sudan, the newest country in the world at the time, meets every other country. It serves as an introduction episode and does not have any contest or anything of the sort. Episode 2, Contract. Skipping ahead 10 years, Vatican City, the main host of the show, proposes a contest to all the countries in the UN. The other hosts are other nations that aren't in the UN, Kosovo, who will host the challenges, and Taiwan, who will host eliminations. We will call the eliminations annexations to follow the theme of the show. Palestine is also a host, but she has more of an off-screen role in that she does paperwork or something of the sort. Each contestant signs the contract, even though nobody reads it. A challenge is held where 14 characters win. These end up being the team captains. Each team has 2 team captains, and each team captain picks 13 people, except for Oman and North Korea's team. They get 3 less members as a penalty for performing worse in the aforementioned challenge. Episode 3, the first challenge. In this episode, the first real challenge is held. 3 contestants from each team are randomly selected to compete for their team, a format that will persist throughout the series. The teams also get named in this episode. Egypt and Grenada's team is known as Egypt is Cool. Oman and North Korea's is Here is True Korea. Guatemala and Malawi's is Leave Us Alone. The Gambia and the USA's is Murica. Saudi Arabia and Slovenia's is Shut Up Sudan. Andorra and Chile's is What'd You Say? And finally, Cyprus and Djibouti's team is named But. Listen, it was 2021. The challenge is to make a long jump onto a platform and then into a basket. The last team to finish the challenge will be up for annexation. Sudan and Algeria start getting aggressive in the challenge and almost lose for Egypt is Cool, but Team Murica ends up losing. The reason they lost is because the United States was being an idiot. However, you can't vote for a team leader if they played in a challenge. Due to this advantage, the contestants didn't know who to vote for. The United Kingdom ended up being chosen as the first boot, mostly due to historical reasons. Episode 4, a similar challenge. This episode has the exact same challenge, but more difficult. Once again, Sudan and Algeria begin to bicker for seemingly no good reason, causing Egypt is Cool to lose this challenge, promptly voting out Algeria. Although, during the annexation, Chad begins to target Dominican Republic and his influence is strangely effective. Episode 5, Ultra Giga Chad. The challenge is to do an even longer jump than the previous 2 episodes, onto a big chair. Notably, Sweden, Finland, and Norway use their Nordic powers to fly to the chair. Chad uses his mysterious influence and says to just believe and jump off the edge and you'll win. It works for Chad and one of his followers, Mauritania, but team leader Egypt isn't buying it, and it doesn't work for him. Egypt ends up losing for his team, however, he's a team leader, so he's safe. The vote splits between the followers of Chad and votes to eliminate Chad. It ends up being the first double elimination, as Chad and his target, Dominican Republic, both get eliminated. Episode 6, Terrible Humor. The challenge in this episode is to make Palestine laugh. None of the teams were particularly funny, but Leave Us Alone was the only team unable to make Palestine even let out a little chuckle. Ukraine and Spain were very unfunny, and the votes tied between them. Ukraine loses a tiebreaker challenge and gets eliminated, or rather, annexed. Episode 7, Sierra Alone. The episode begins with North Korea warning their team not to vote them out, or they'll be cursed with something bad. Then, Kyrgyzstan seemingly gets cursed with horrible luck and can't stop dying. Don't worry, characters get revived all the time, and they die pretty often. The challenge is to bounce off of a pillow and into a basket. Sierra Leone, who previously relied on the assurance of her best friend Liberia, struggles to do the challenge, but Senegal tries to help her. They end up losing, but the team forgives Sierra Leone and Senegal, and they vote Djibouti, the team leader, for being annoying. Liberia gets jealous and thinks Senegal is trying to replace her. She begins scheming to eliminate Senegal. Episode 8, Conflicting Plans. This time, the challenge is to correctly answer questions. Every contestant that gets a question right leaves the challenge. Once every contestant on a team is removed from the challenge, that team is safe. Liberia convinces Burkina Faso to go along with their scheme and make it look like Senegal lost their team the challenge. At the same time, Team Here is True Korea is trying to lose on purpose so they can vote out North Korea. Here is True Korea ends up losing, and the team is really hoping for a double elimination. The whole team votes for South Korea to make North Korea happy, but they plan for South Korea to vote for North Korea. North Korea already hates South Korea, so South Korea's situation already couldn't get worse. It ends up being a double elimination, and both Koreas are out as planned. Episode 9, Childish. The episode begins with Moldova convincing Romania to assist them in studying the Nordic countries' powers. The challenge is to jump into a cup. Burkina Faso continues the plan to get Senegal eliminated, but Ethiopia is such a dumb idiot that he loses for his team. He gets voted out. Episode 10, Senegal. The challenge is to jump far onto a chair, like in Episode 5, but to then also jump into a cup like Episode 9. Somehow, Liberia, Senegal, and Burkina Faso are all picked for Team Butt, and they finally succeed at losing. The player picking doesn't seem that random, but we ball. Senegal is overwhelmingly voted out, but Senegal, along with a few others, votes for Liberia. It is a double annexation, and Senegal and Liberia are booted off the show. Episode 11, 50-50. This episode opens with Romania and Moldova discovering that Sweden shares DNA with the other Nordic countries. Moldova wants to investigate further, but Romania drops the project. The challenge is to roll a 4, 5, or 6 on a 6-sided die, while having landed it in a faraway basket. Team America loses the challenge. They end up agreeing to spin a wheel to decide who's out because they're so unsure. Germany is selected, so they all vote for him. Episode 12, Sweden Safety. The challenge is to have all 3 of your players die, but murder is strictly not allowed. Azerbaijan and Armenia are bickering the entire challenge, and Georgia tries to stop them. This annoys Georgia so much that she forgets the rules of the challenge and kills Azerbaijan, making their team, Leave Us Alone, lose. The team pretty much has an even split, voting Azerbaijan for not just doing the challenge, and Georgia, who cost them the challenge. Both of them ended up getting eliminated. Episode 13, Alliances Against Alliances. Norway, Sweden, Finland, Moldova, and Romania make amends and form a Nordic alliance. Thailand, Myanmar, and Vietnam form the Jumpers Alliance, because they can jump really high. Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan form a Stans Alliance. The challenge is to become a Delaware. Yeah. Team Butt ends up losing because Central African Republic got annoyed at Rwanda and Burundi's friendship, telling them to be quiet and do the challenge. This backfires as it somehow makes them hate each other. They bicker the whole challenge and lose. The team originally wanted to vote off Rwanda and Burundi for being idiots, but Cameroon voted for Central African Republic, and everybody loves Cameroon, so enough people switched votes to eliminate Central African Republic and Burundi. Episode 14, Battle for Team Dominance. The episode begins with the Leave Us Alone team captains, Guatemala and Malawi, arguing over what it means to be a team captain, coming to a conclusion that they should let their team vote on who gets to be the sole team captain of Leave Us Alone. The challenge is to have your team count to 6 one at a time without repeating any numbers or communicating verbally in any way other than counting. Leave Us Alone ends up being the only team unable to count to 6, meaning they're up for annexation. The 3 that failed to count to 6 for the team, Somalia, Namibia, and Portugal, are let off the hook, as Guatemala and Malawi share their plans of a team vote between them. The vote ends up tying, meaning the dueling team captains will have one final battle in the tiebreaker challenge, which is to bring Kosovo his scissors. Malawi quickly wins, knocking Guatemala out of SFGP. Episode 15, Where's Vatican? At the start of this episode, it is revealed that Vatican City was accidentally killed by Kosovo. Vatican City was the source of the host's powers, meaning the hosts are powerless and nobody can be revived. Yikes! However, according to Kosovo, a recovery center will exist around episode 20. Hooray! The challenge is to throw something off the cliff. This means the edge of the bed that SFGP typically takes place on. Mostly due to India and Pakistan's arguing, America loses, and they are not forgiven for this as they both get voted out. The end of the episode shows Madagascar discovering that Honduras wants to quit the show due to feeling disrespected, preferring to hang out with the social reject, partially recognized states. Episode 16, Rampage. This episode picks up right after the last, showing Honduras' disdain towards the game and Madagascar for knowing about it. Despite this, Honduras is picked for the challenge, which is to kill the other contestants to earn points. Killing your own teammates loses your team points. The last team standing is immune, and the team with the least points that isn't immune is up for annexation. Honduras goes on a rampage and murders pretty much everyone in the challenge, winning immunity for his team. Then, following his hate for the show, he quits. The hosts are not okay with this sudden elimination, and decide that he will be statistically replaced with a partially recognized country in the next episode. Ultimately, Heroes True Korea loses the challenge. Because of his insane hatred for Malaysia, Brunei lies to his team, saying Malaysia sabotaged the challenge. For some reason, they believe him, and Malaysia is annexed. Singapore is not buying it and knows Brunei is lying. Episode 17, Replacement. In this episode, 7 partially recognized countries do challenges where the loser of each is disqualified. The winner, Abkhazia, officially replaces Honduras in the game. Abkhazia gets to choose a team to be up for elimination, and she chooses Shut Up Sudan since they're one of the 2 teams who haven't lost. They vote off Romania and Moldova since people think the Nordic Alliance is a threat. They aren't going to vote for the actual 3 Nordics though, because they can be useful in challenges. Episode 18, Unstable Alliance. Brunei has an evil monologue about how he can't let the others find out he lied about Malaysia. Conveniently, Singapore is recording this. Brunei catches Singapore, and after Singapore throws the audio recorder off the bed, Brunei kills Singapore. Note that recovery is still not effective as Vatican City is still dead. The challenge is to jump really far into a basket. Since recovery is not effective, if you miss, you'll die from impact and you will be replaced in the challenge. Italy joins the Jumpers Alliance. Brunei pressures Kazakhstan to be allied with him. Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia also form an alliance. Latvia is scrolling on TikTok the entire time, and her team, Shut Up Sudan, loses. Latvia somehow convinces the team to vote Lithuania instead, since Estonia said Lithuania was being too harsh on Latvia, and Lithuania is out. Episode 19, Collections. Fiji and Solomon Islands join Brunei and Kazakhstan's alliance. They are the only 4 people alive on their team since they were doing pretty bad in the last challenge. Brunei says he'll keep them in the alliance as long as they convince everyone to vote for Singapore once a revival starts up again. The challenge is to find a specific substance that is needed to finish the Vatican City Recovery Center. Every round, one team finds a substance and that team is safe. The last team to find the right substance loses. Jordan and Slovakia try to make Latvia prove herself, but Latvia fails and Shut Up Sudan loses. The entire team votes for Latvia, but Latvia votes for her friend Denmark, since she wants a friend in the elimination area if it was a double elimination. Denmark ends the friendship, and it's a double elimination regardless, so they're both out. Episode 20, The Great Recovery. Brunei hasn't gotten the chance to take or do anything with the audio recorder, and it remains on the floor off the side of the bed. The Vatican City Recovery Center is finally complete, and all the people that have died since episode 15 come back to life. This is bad news for Brunei, as Singapore knows where the audio recorder is. Brunei and his alliance tell the rest of Here's True Korea to vote for Singapore next time they lose. The challenge is to not get all of your players tagged. UAE finds Singapore's audio recording before Singapore can get to it, and UAE decides to keep the recorder and the SD card that was in it. Here's True Korea ends up losing, and Singapore is voted out. Brunei finds UAE and destroys the recorder as UAE is asleep. It is then revealed that UAE was secretly awake and that he already took the SD card out, fooling Brunei. Episode 21, Speedy Iran. The episode begins with UAE receiving an audio recorder to put the SD card in. Later, Kosovo explains that from then on, the team that does the best in the challenge would get an advantage in the next challenge, that being having an extra teammate to do the challenge for the team. The challenge in this episode is a relay race of each contestant carrying one of their teammates back and forth across the bed, where the last team to finish loses. UAE tries to show the audio recording to Brunei's teammate Kazakhstan, but Brunei pulls Kazakhstan away. Iran on Team Shut Up Sudan is so remarkably quick at running that they get a one-time prize. They get to pick who's immune next time they lose. The team wants to pick Iran, but Iran nominates Iraq instead. Australia was extremely drunk and couldn't do the challenge, so he lost for America. The team votes out New Zealand, as he was the one supplying Australia with copious amounts of beer. Episode 22, Sneaky Seekers. The episode opens up with a rule change. Vatican City confronts the Nordics and tells them not to use their Nordic powers or their team will lose. The Nordics agree. UAE decides to blackmail Brunei and makes Brunei agree to get his own team, Here's True Korea, to help UAE's team, Shut Up Sudan. The challenge is hide and seek. Some players hide and one player from each team is assigned another team to find. Tanzania sneaks into the challenge and relays information to his team with an earpiece. He chose to cheat because his team has lost a lot. Team Shut Up Sudan does not receive help from Here's True Korea, angering UAE. Instead, Czechia, Slovakia, and Iraq all do horrible in the challenge, and they lose, making their team really mad. Since Iraq is immune from last episode's prize for Iran, Czechia and Slovakia end up both being eliminated. UAE confronts Brunei, promising to show Brunei's team the audio in the next episode. Episode 23, It's Totally Easter. Despite Brunei's attempts at trickery, UAE successfully shows Here's True Korea the wrongdoings of Brunei. The challenge is to collect 3 hidden Easter eggs that were scattered in the area. Tanzania secretly watched Palestine set up the challenge and again cheated. Guinea spies on Tanzania's team Leave Us Alone out of suspicion. He catches them cheating on camera. Although Guinea's team Butt ends up losing, he shows the evidence to the hosts and Vatican City is outraged. Leave Us Alone is not only put up for elimination, but the entire team is disbanded and the team members are forced to be split into the other teams. Obviously Tanzania gets eliminated, but Eritrea actually sneaks onto Team Egypt to school from Butt by fooling the hosts. This is not revealed until later, because no one notices somehow. Episode 24, Name That Blob. Kosovo discovers Vatican City playing the daily Worldle game and proposes it as the episode's challenge. Vatican City accepts, establishing that each team must select one member to play 10 rounds of Worldle, and the team with the most incorrect answers will be put up for annexation. Team Butt, whose members have been bullying Burkina Faso, selects Burkina Faso to compete. Burkina Faso finishes the challenge with the worst score. Team Shut Up Sudan goes last, and their chosen player Turkmenistan achieves the best score. However, it is revealed that Sweden used her telepathic Nordic powers to feed Turkmenistan the correct answers. Because Sweden violated the rules, Vatican City disqualifies Shut Up Sudan and places them up for annexation instead of Team Butt. Although Sweden and Turkmenistan are put up for elimination, Taiwan determines that a standard elimination would be boring, and institutes the first triple elimination. Angry about not being informed of the possibility of a triple elimination beforehand, the team yells at Taiwan, but Sweden, Turkmenistan, and, for some reason, Kuwait, still end up getting eliminated. Episode 25. Come again? Saudi Arabia hosts a meeting with the other team captains addressing how Team Wajise still hasn't lost. They agree to target Team Wajise in this episode. Montenegro overhears and snitches to his team Wajise. They begin to panic, but they calm down and become motivated to give it their all. The challenge is to do a relay race with batons, passing a baton to your teammate in the next leg of the race. Wajise ends up dodging pretty much every sabotage, leading the other teams into chaos. Eventually, Team Butt loses. As Cabo Verde was looking, Togo and Benin were being really annoying with puns that you can probably guess. The team votes out Cabo Verde because they believe Togo and Benin's fake story instead. Episode 26. Who's the real China now? Vatican City introduces a new rule. If you try to attack the host at any point, your team will be put up for annexation. This episode features 2 challenges. The first challenge is tag, but you only lose once you're tagged twice. So, 2 life tag. Everyone targets Wajise again, and Wajise actually loses. But China attacks Taiwan, so at the last second, America loses instead. They decide to vote out China and Australia. China, because people are sick of China being mean to Taiwan, and Australia because he hasn't stopped his habits even after New Zealand stopped supplying him. The second challenge is a quick one. You just say another team that you want to lose, and the team with the most votes loses. You'd think Wajise would lose, but enough teams accidentally vote for Butt. Although everyone hates Burkina Faso, they spare him so they can bully him in the future. Since they don't know who to vote for, they just happen to end up annexing Uganda instead. Episode 27, The Redesign. Brunei reveals to Cameroon that he knows Cameroon secretly doesn't hate Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso takes advantage of the fact that everybody loves Cameroon and tells Cameroon to convince his team not to vote for him. The team leaders have another meeting excluding Wajise, but this time also Egypt is cool. They realize Egypt is cool hasn't lost since like the 3rd challenge, meaning they have improved the most and are a bigger threat than Wajise, so they decide to target them instead. The challenge is to find the hidden scissors. Each round, one team is safe, and it goes until one team fails all rounds and loses. Laos, Cambodia, and Philippines form an alliance. Cambodia and Laos are in the challenge and decide to name their alliance Double Savvy, completely forgetting Philippines. Wajise ends up losing due to being unlucky, and they don't really know who to vote for. Andorra and Nicaragua end up getting eliminated due to their teammates just not liking them very much. Notably, Andorra was a team captain. Episode 28, Loss of 6. The episode begins with some Team Butt members discussing how they think Eritrea is supposed to be on their team, confronting Vatican City, and discovering that Eritrea, formerly on Team Butt, took advantage of Leave Us Alone splitting up and tricked Vatican City into switching them onto Egypt's cool. Vatican forces Eritrea back onto Team Butt, much to Eritrea and Team Egypt is Cool's dismay. This sparks a conflict between the two teams. Instead of a challenge this episode, each team is required to vote one of their members off the show, with team captains being immune. This had been planned to happen once every team had lost at least once, but Wajise took 27 episodes to lose, so it could only happen now. The 6 eliminations go as follows. Team Bud voted out Equatorial Guinea for being annoying. Equatorial Guinea's vote for himself breaks a tie and Eritrea is spared. Also, in an attempt to make others stop bullying him, Burkina Faso reveals that Cameroon in fact does not hate him, which backfires and leads the rest of the team to hate Cameroon as well as Burkina Faso. Team Egypt is Cool votes out South Africa for believing the Eritrea situation wasn't a big deal. Team Here's True Korea votes for Sri Lanka as they sacrifice themselves for Brunei, like Cameroon told them to. Team America votes for Cambodia for forgetting the Philippines was in their alliance, being unsure about who to vote for since the US was immune. Team Shut Up Sudan has a very split vote, with Lebanon barely getting the boot for being sketchy. Team Wajise votes for Ecuador after Croatia convinces them to. Weirdly, nobody is able to fully say Croatia's name. And at the end of the episode, Burkina Faso and Cameroon make a plan to make a new team, something that is only allowed to happen twice in the competition. However, they are only able to do so once they can get 6 members in total to form the new team. Episode 29, Back to 7. Cameroon, Burkina Faso, Brunei and his allies, and Abkhazia attempt to recruit members for their new team, which they are trying to form because they are all universally hated contestants. Eritrea joins them for the hell of it, and the group consults Vatican City to officialize the team. Due to a technicality, the team is named 19 Pixel Black Line. After the teams are organized, Kosovo introduces the challenge. Each team begins with 1 die. Players can steal dice from opposing teams, and any team that secures at least half of the total dice in a round becomes safe and exits the challenge. Team Butt and Egypt is Cool engage in a fight due to the Eritrea drama in the previous episode, which allows other teams to steal their dice. Team Here's True Korea loses the challenge anyway, and they eliminate Marshall Islands due to their lackluster performance as a contestant. Episode 30, Bad Teammates. Brunei's allies, Kazakhstan, Solomon Islands, and Fiji, decide to kick Brunei out of his own alliance, forming their own alliance. The challenge is to name everyone on your team. If you get 3 wrong, you automatically lose. Egypt is Cool is about to win, but St. Kitts and Nevis challenges the host's rules by insisting that Eritrea is on their team. He says, Eritrea, but obviously the hosts aren't changing their minds. So Egypt is Cool loses. St. Kitts and Nevis and Eswatini are voted out for both getting strikes in the challenge. Episode 31, The Pillow Arena. On Team Butt, Morocco accidentally starts an argument by bumping into 3 people on Egypt is Cool. It escalates really badly until those people, Dominica, Republic of the Congo, and Trinidad and Tobago, beat up Morocco. Morocco tells his team what happened, and the team rivalry becomes more than just arguing over Eritrea. Now it's personal. The challenge is to stay on the 2x2 grid of pillows. You gain or lose points depending on getting knocked off or knocking others off. Once a team reaches 20 points, the team with the least points loses. The rivaling Egypt is Cool and Butt continue to quarrel throughout the challenge. But then Poland fumbles really hard and loses for Team Murica, guaranteeing his elimination. Episode 32, Trivia Time. Russia, Belarus, United States, and Canada are now in an alliance together. The challenge is pretty much the same as episode 8, except we're further in the series and it's actual competent trivia instead of stupid baloney. If a team gets a question right, 1 member is removed from the challenge. The last team left in the challenge loses. Nepal and Portugal both mess up the challenge, causing Murica to lose again. Since Nepal messed up more than Portugal did, the team agreed to vote for Nepal. The United States' alliance knows that the US will get the second most votes if they go through with this, since there's a strong number of people on the team who want to boot the US. They decide to vote for Portugal to skew the results. Since Switzerland voted Ireland to be neutral, and the Jumpers wanted to vote with the US's alliance to show friendship. Nepal and Portugal got the most votes, and they both got annexed. However, the US is scared of elimination and decides he needs more alliance members. Episode 33, Undisclosed Ingredients. The episode opens showing the US's alliance with more members: Bhutan, Iceland, Ireland, Austria, Indonesia, Laos, and France. The challenge is to collect ingredients for a secret concoction that the hosts are making. The last team to get that round's ingredient loses. This will be mentioned later. Hungary performs horribly in the challenge, and Murica loses for a 3rd time in a row. The Jumpers Alliance votes Hungary like normal people, but the US's giant alliance votes for Bangladesh since Bangladesh is one of the haters of the US. Bangladesh and Hungary both get out anyway, since the Jumpers outnumber the US haters after Philippines joined them, and Switzerland voted Ireland again to stay neutral. Episode 34, Guests Hide for Cash. What'd you say? And the new tiny 19 Pixel Black Line form an inter-team alliance because they've lost the least, and they don't want to be targeted. The eliminated contestants who never got to participate in a challenge, as well as their other earliest boot, are guest stars. They have to hide, while the team that's assigned to them tries to hide. The eliminated contestant who lasts the longest gets $1 million as an incentive to hide well. The United States does horrible in the challenge, but since he's a team leader, he cannot be voted. This elimination gets really complicated, so pay attention. The 5 people in the Jumpers Alliance think allying with someone as bad for the team as the US is dumb, so they just vote for someone from the US's alliance, Austria. The US's alliance plans to vote for Mongolia since they had voted for Mongolia in the past. However, Ireland, Austria, Laos, Bhutan, and Iceland, while recruiting the Gambia, betray the US's alliance and vote for one of the US's other allies, Indonesia. Russia and Belarus also betray the US, but they snitch on Mongolia, and together they all vote for Ireland to save Mongolia, since they're predicting that Switzerland will also vote for Ireland again. It will guarantee that Mongolia is safe, even with the triple elimination. Only France, Canada, and Indonesia stay loyal to the US, and the US doesn't get to vote. Taiwan chooses a triple elimination because Team Murica has lost 4 times in a row. This means Indonesia, Austria, and Ireland are out. This leaves the US in a tough position. He has to stop his team from losing at all costs. His last allies, Canada and France, leave him. Iceland, France, Laos, and Bhutan form an alliance called US Exterminators, determined to eliminate the US. And Russia, Belarus, and Mongolia form an alliance too. Episode 35. Lights out. Vatican City introduces a new rule stating that if a contestant is killed by another contestant, they are permanently eliminated from the competition, though team leaders are immune. Other causes of death function normally. Vatican City emphasizes the fact that killing a contestant may cause that contestant's team to seek retaliation. The rivaling teams Egypt is Cool and Team Butt pretty much ignore this, and things get out of control to the disadvantage of both teams. Operating under the team leader exemption, Grenada kills Niger, Guinea, and Gabon. Team Bud witnesses these actions and plans to kill Grenada's team. The challenge requires each team to have all its members touch a light switch in the dark at least once, with the last team to finish being put up for elimination. Team Bud kills 4 members of Team Egypt is Cool in total for revenge: Dominica, Trinidad and Tobago, Madagascar, and Mali. Surprisingly, the US wins the challenge, and Israel loses the challenge for Shut Up Sudan. Israel is voted out. During the episode, Croatia secretly kills their own teammates, Guyana and Suriname. Notably, the hosts have been acting wary about Croatia ever since the start of the series, and her actions are getting more and more weird and severe. Episode 36, Framed Treachery. The episode starts with a flashback of an exchange between Spain and Vatican City before Episode 3. Vatican City proposes a plan where Spain will be immune to Croatia's powers and have their memory erased of the conversation, along with guaranteed immunity until Croatia is quote-unquote dealt with. Back to present day, Croatia kills Brazil off screen. What'd you say? Notices that their teammates, Guyana, Suriname, and Brazil, were mysteriously killed. Croatia says it was 90 Pixel Black Line's fault, so what'd you say? Confronts 90 Pixel Black Line. Despite having that inter-team alliance, what'd you say? Kills Eritrea to scare 90 Pixel Black Line. Peru is announced to have been murdered, so what'd you say? Realizes they were wrong and keeps investigating. The challenge is hide and seek and tag. Egypt is Cool and Team Butt have not learned their lesson, and more people get murdered. Egypt is Cool tries to even the playing field, and Team Butt thinks they're being violent, both escalating the situation. On Butt, Benin, Sao Tome and Principe, Togo, Ghana, and Nigeria get killed. On Egypt is Cool, DRC, Jamaica, and Tunisia get killed. Iraq is a slow runner and ends up getting spawn camped, so he loses for his team, Shut Up Sudan. Iraq gets votes for losing for their team, and Shut Up Sudan's other players from that challenge also get votes for picking Iraq to be a runner in the first place. It mainly splits, and Jordan and Netherlands have a fight to the death. Jordan loses and is annexed. Netherlands is left severely injured, but the host refused to interfere. At the very end, Croatia murders Venezuela off-screen. Episode 37, Teamwork Makes the Theme Work. The start of this episode reveals that the murder clause will either end at episode 50 or at the final 50, whichever comes first. The challenge is for the entire teams to work together to make team logos on pieces of paper. One side of the paper is for planning, but once planning time ends, the team leaders have one chance to draw the logo on the other side. During the challenge, Egypt is Cool and Butt's rivalry reaches a temporary truce as they both have lost 9 members from the feud so far, with the deaths of Zambia, Mauritania, and Belize. During this episode, Bolivia and Uruguay are murdered as well. Also, Nauru and Tuvalu of Heroes True Korea have a fight over Nauru accidentally killing Maldives, ending with Nauru killing Tuvalu out of self-defense. Due to Shut Up Sudan arguing about whether they should put Netherlands out of their misery, they forget about the challenge and end up losing. During the annexation, the team discusses whether to vote out the team leaders, Saudi Arabia and Slovenia, for causing the argument over the Netherlands, or to vote out Botswana for being annoying. In the end, Botswana and Saudi Arabia get the most votes and are both annexed. Slovenia vows to reunite the team, believing it to be their duty as the only remaining team leader of Shut Up Sudan. Episode 38, Distance Can't Be Negative. Slovenia decides to allow their team's continuous bickering to end on its own, intending to enact an unspecified plan if it does not. Upon Zimbabwe's arrival, Nauru attempts to kill them, prompting Zimbabwe to reveal that Nauru killed Tuvalu. Nauru claims the action was self-defense, which most contestants believe. The challenge requires each team to select one member to throw an object as far as possible, with the team achieving the least horizontal distance losing. The US wins the challenge immediately by throwing another contestant. Croatia kills Argentina, but the remaining contestants abstain from further killing out of mutual fear. Instead of focusing, Angola repeatedly shouts, "Ayo!" and drops their object directly on the throwing line. As the final thrower, Fiji gets nervous and throws her object backward. Kosovo clarifies that the challenge measures only horizontal distance, and because distance cannot be negative, Fiji's score stands. Therefore, Team Heroes True Korea loses the challenge, and votes Angola out due to their performance in the challenge. Episode 39, Grenade. Zimbabwe on Team Butt carries out his plan and kills Timor-Leste, Mozambique, Palau, and Tonga on Team Heroes True Korea, the disagreeers with Nauru, to frame Nauru. As it turns out, Nauru from Heroes True Korea, in fact, recorded it. The challenge is to throw something off the bed that is the color white. However, each team secretly picks a white object in the room to curse. If someone pushes off a cursed object, one of their players is removed from the challenge. If all a team's players are removed from a challenge, they lose. If not, then the last team to throw an uncursed white object off the bed loses. Cyprus and Cameroon have a crazy battle where Cyprus threatens to kill Cameroon if he doesn't spill the beans about a secret Cameroon has. Eventually, he's about to be killed, so Cameroon reveals that he had agreed to split the global power with Rwanda if either of them won. But it was meant to be a secret. Shut Up Sudan's remaining team leader, Slovenia, observes how divided her team has become about the Netherlands situation. She thinks she could intervene in a future episode. Micronesia isn't careful enough and throws off too many cursed objects, losing for Heroes True Korea. They obviously vote her off. Nauru also shows the team the footage of Zimbabwe killing 4 of their teammates, and now they want revenge. Croatia kills yet another teammate in the background, that being El Salvador. Episode 40, 1/2. Team Butt discovers Kenya with Malawi and kills Kenya. Malawi flees and criticizes the team rivalry. Vatican City brings Spain to use a chemical concoction to remove a shape-shifting monster named Maxis from the body of Croatia. Following this, Vatican City announces that this challenge's winning team will receive a prize. The challenge involves identifying 10 country flags, where the team with the most incorrect answers loses. Teams can opt for hard mode, which requires identifying 20 flags to complete for the win. Tensions increase between Team Butt and Egypt is Cool, but no killings occur between them, except Libya and the Bahamas kill Zimbabwe, forgetting about their truce with Team Butt. They kind of panic and keep it a secret, but Seychelles from Team Butt notices. Spain pursues Croatia while Croatia kills multiple members of Team Bulgaria, Greece, Costa Rica, Paraguay, Panama, Colombia, and Mexico. 19-pixel Black Line completes hard mode with 0 errors to win the challenge. Croatia is punched by Spain after Spain dipped his hand in the concoction. This shoots the entity named Maxis out of Croatia's body, and Croatia becomes normal. They then compete on behalf of and attempt hard mode, but commit 1 error. Shut Up Sudan finishes with the worst score and loses. Slovenia executes their plan by killing the Netherlands to end the conflict, accepting the risk of elimination. The final vote falls between Slovenia and Turkey, resulting in Turkey being voted out. Vatican City concludes by announcing there will be a rejoin of 3 contestants, as well as a debut of 3 territories. The eliminated contestants have a fight to the death challenge, with 6 of them being up for a viewer vote. The same thing happens with debuters. The results are revealed in the next episode. Episode 41, Brick Builders. Vatican City opens the episode telling Spain and Croatia to not tell anyone under any circumstance about the Maxis stuff. From the last challenge, Seychelles knows that Zimbabwe was killed by Egypt is Cool, not Here's True Korea, and tells Cyprus, the team leader of Butt. This enrages Cyprus, and Team Butt realizes they now have 2 rival teams, Here's True Korea because of the Zimbabwe situation, and obviously Egypt is Cool. Back on Egypt is Cool, the Bahamas and Libya are embarrassed that they foolishly killed Zimbabwe and form a secret alliance called the Undercoverers, establishing the start of their bond. Palestine hosts the rejoin and debut. The rejoiners are Malaysia, Brunei's old target, rejoining Here's True Korea. United Kingdom, the first boot, rejoining America. And Eritrea, who doesn't care, rejoining 19-pixel Black Line. The 3 debuters are St. Pierre and Miquelon, a goofy goober, New Caledonia, a normal person, and Sovereign Military Order of Malta, aka S-Mom, who has no land and therefore has no body, all joining 19-pixel Black Line. A second entity, similar to Maxis, appears to start possessing New Caledonia, but no one notices. The challenge is to build something with Legos. The hosts will rate your build at the end, and the lowest rated loses. Horseplay is allowed, but if you damage a build that's already locked in, then your build gets locked in, and their build gets rebuilt. Still seeking revenge after Zimbabwe's grenade killing 4 other teammates, Here's True Korea manages to kill Seychelles and Guinea-Bissau off of Team Butt. While halfway through their build, Albania and Team decides to knock down Shut Up Sudan's build. Luxembourg goes for it, but Shut Up Sudan locks in their build right as Luxembourg is lunging at it, and since Luxembourg is damaging a locked-in build, Wojcic's incomplete build is locked in. Wojcic ends up with the worst score. The vote splits between Albania and Luxembourg, but Albania gets eliminated because it was his idea. After the elimination, Wojcic celebrates that the murders on their team have finally stopped, and they figure it must have been Seychelles or something. Of course, Spain and Croatia silently knew the real murderer was Maxis all along, possessing Croatia. Uzbekistan is reading a book, and Tajikistan is pestering to learn more about them, as they are in an alliance. Uzbekistan gets annoyed and just gives the book to Tajikistan. Tajikistan reads a paragraph about cleansing a corrupted entity with materials that were collected in the episode 33 challenge, and mentions that it can be re-corrupted when it comes in contact with something called Vaticant. Tajikistan does not piece together the former challenge ingredients, or that this would have anything to do with the show, but she is still interested and decides to read more. Episode 42, all caps. Malaysia is kindly welcomed back to her team, but she dismisses it and says she needs to get revenge and eliminate Brunei. Her team is unamused because Team 19-pixel Black Line will just want revenge. Tajikistan talks to her alliance, Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan, about the book Uzbekistan gave them. Uzbekistan tries to dismiss it as obvious fiction. New Caledonia, who is possessed by a corrupted entity, suddenly shows up and really wants the book. The 3 stands start arguing and Vatican City appears, absolutely furious. He says something like, "You prowled around in my library? Do you realize the importance of this? I cannot delay this. All of you with me, now!" With some tricky maneuvers, the entity leaves New Caledonia's corporeal form, and Vatican City takes the 4 contestants to an enclosed area where they read off the names of the 3 corrupted entities. These names are not yet revealed in the episode. Entities are unable to say their own name, so all 4 of them are confirmed to not be possessed in Vatican City's eyes. The entity repossesses New Caledonia without Vatican City seeing. Vatican City condemns the four, but he delays a serious conversation for another time. The challenge is to name the capitals of your teammates. Your teammates are in front of you. Here's to Korea kills Comoros during the challenge to make it even with Team Butt. Malaysia tries and fails to kill Brunei. UK and Switzerland lose the challenge for America, but that team is so full of alliances that they're kind of forgiven. The newcomer UK is pressured into joining USA's side. Canada is also there. Switzerland is freaking out because everyone else in their team is on an alliance, so they have to stop being neutral. It ends up being a 9-8 vote where Bhutan is eliminated, and the USA is spared. Laos gets scared and moves to the majority, joining the America Power Alliance. After the elimination, Switzerland is freaking out and saying how she should have voted for himself to stay truly neutral, believing that they were a failure. Episode 43, Chromospectrum. The episode begins with Libya and the Bahamas sharing their fears of Team Butt telling their team about Zimbabwe's murder. Meanwhile, Slovenia fails to reunite their team. The challenge is special as each team's number of players for the challenge corresponds with how many challenges the team won prior to episode 20, with 90 pixel black line representing Leave Us Alone. The challenge is to touch objects of 7 different colors, but if you touch a pink/magenta object, you lose. During the challenge, Cote d'Ivoire tells Haiti about Zimbabwe, but Haiti dismisses it, thinking Cote d'Ivoire is just trying to start trouble. Haiti flubs the challenge for Egypt is cool, meaning they are up for annexation. In a triple elimination, Haiti is voted out for losing the challenge, Malawi is voted out for being a traitor after Namibia reveals their plans to reform Leave Us Alone, and Lesotho is voted out for being weirdly hellbent on voting out Haiti. Before leaving, Lesotho gives a short speech, making everyone reflect on the state of the team, sparking the start of a friendship between Barbados and South Sudan, as they often feel like misfits and making Egypt and Grenada realize they may be too controlling, apologizing to their team. Episode 44, Monochrome Zone. In this episode, the Stans Alliance ask Vatican City to erase their memory in order to ensure safety from the entities, instead advising Vatican City to have surveillance over everyone. Vatican City does this reluctantly, but unfortunately it doesn't work as intended, as Tajikistan loses all of their memory, and the entity possessing New Caledonia breaks the sensors tracking them. The challenge is to touch one of the 6 candy canes scattered throughout the room without touching any object that isn't white, gray, or black. The other 5 teams decide to try to work against 90 pixel black line and Wojuse for having an advantage in S-Mom and working together. During the challenge, Somalia is launched by New Caledonia, killing Bahrain in the process. Team Butt doesn't get the last candy cane, but Luxembourg throws Malta onto the blue part of the bed. So, Wojuse loses. Luxembourg is voted out for losing the challenge along with North Macedonia for being the person Luxembourg and Montenegro voted for. I guess. The end of the episode shows Kosovo making New Caledonia say the entity names in order to catch an entity, but the entity possessing them sneakily avoids capture. The name is also revealed to be Skorky. Episode 45, Rotations and Translations. Chile ends the irrelevant inter-team alliance between his team Wojuse and 90 pixel black line. Shut Up Sudan gets revenge on 90 pixel black line by killing Solomon Islands. The challenge is to fix one of the objects in the room. There are 3 objects that aren't in their iconic position, and 3 that aren't in their iconic rotation. The team that doesn't end up doing any is up for elimination. Cyprus gets really mad that they're technically not even with Team Egypt is cool, even on their truce. Cyprus ends up killing St. Vincent and the Grenadines, making St. Lucia distraught. Cote d'Ivoire gets caught in the crossfire and gets murdered too. Sierra Leone, the same person who could barely do a challenge without her friend Liberia, steps up to the violent Cyprus, explaining how the entirety of Team Butt, including herself, is fed up with Cyprus's insanity. She yells about how Cyprus is the reason for all these eliminations. Cyprus angrily agrees to stop, but he makes it clear that he's mad. Malaysia continues to try to sabotage 90 pixel black line for the chance they vote out Brunei or something. Wojuse ended up losing because Montenegro was asleep the whole challenge, while Bosnia and Herzegovina was trying to wake them up the whole time. The 2 are both voted out and annexed. Monaco asks Liechtenstein, Malta, and San Marino to make a microstates alliance. Team Wojuse's main working philosophy is team loyalty, so the microstates snitch to their team leader Chile. The team considers eliminating Monaco the next time they lose. Episode 46, 8 of them lead to 8 of them. Team Butt leaves Cyprus and forms a new team to retaliate against ongoing drama. Needing more members to fill their roster, they recruit Namibia, Eritrea, and Switzerland, and Vatican City officializes the group under the name Cyprus Failed Butt. The challenge for the episode is a modified version of Word Bomb, where contestants must form words containing randomly chosen 2-letter combinations, but the words must specifically be the names of fellow contestants that are still in the running. The game continues in rounds until only one losing team remains. Team Here's to Korea wins first place, followed by 90 pixel black line in second. During the second break, Qatar plans to kill 4 members of Team America to even the playing field, subsequently murdering Vietnam, Italy, the Philippines, and Iceland. Notably, 3 of them were in the Jumpers Alliance. Following the third round, America confronts Shut Up Sudan in retaliation and kills Qatar and Afghanistan. After the fourth round, Iran abandons his teammates, allowing Russia to capture, torture, and kill Armenia and Yemen for information. Finland and the UAE subsequently discover that Iran left his team to die. Meanwhile, Mauritius realizes that Cyprus, being a team leader, is unkillable, meaning he can kill others without facing elimination. Cyprus attempts to use this power during round 7 by attacking members of Cyprus Failed But he receives a difficult word bomb combination, fails the challenge, and is eliminated. Episode 47, Who Drew Which? This episode opens up with Uzbekistan running experiments on Tajikistan's brain, as most of the rest of Team Heroes Drew Korea watches. He finds that the tests are giving evidence of pure, sanctified magic. The only person Uzbekistan knows that can do that is Vatican City. Here's Drew Korea correctly assumes that Vatican City has to do with the mind erasing of Tajikistan. Uzbekistan promises Tajikistan that they'll get Vatican City back for this. The challenge is to make the new team, Cyprus Failed But, a team logo. The contestants on Cyprus Failed But that do not play the challenge do not get to know what team drew what, and will choose the winning logo as well as the losing logo. During the challenge, Laos accidentally kills Japan, and here's Drew Korea gets some quick revenge by killing France. It gets kind of ridiculously complicated, but basically a lot of teams make their logo into just some text saying, "This is Cyprus Failed But, please make us safe." The actual members of Cyprus Failed But end up deducing that Murica's logo was one of the fakers, and Murica loses. Since Laos messed up the challenge, got France out, and betrayed like every alliance he's been on, they're as good as gone here. The US's alliance votes for Russia, but it's a single elimination, and Russia is spared. The Gambia then joins the Jumpers Alliance, which is now just the Gambia, Thailand, and Myanmar. Episode 48, Cap Tap. Republic of the Congo talks to St. Lucia about feeling like a nobody. The challenge is to pin a capital star in the correct country in the correct location of one of the players of a team next to you. Malta loses the challenge for, what'd you say, on a technicality. The team votes out Malta and Monaco. Malta for losing and Monaco for being disloyal at the end of episode 45. Episode 49, the end of a phase. Vatican City announces that this is the final episode in which the murder clause is active, since elimination via murder will no longer happen starting in episode 50. For this episode specifically, all deaths from any cause count as a permanent elimination, though team leaders remain immune. Upon hearing this, Brunei informs his team that he plans to repurpose a failed bomb to kill contestants at the elimination place. The episode's challenge revisits the first challenge of the series, requiring contestants to jump onto a platform and then into a basket. Team 19 Pixel Black Line finishes first and Murica finishes second, both completing the challenge with no casualties. Republic of the Congo attempts to jump into the basket to retrieve a pillow for his teammates on Egypt's school to land on, but he dies in the process. Iran successfully reaches the basket, retrieves a pillow, and states he will only allow his teammates to use it. However, members of Heroes Drew Korea jump simultaneously with Iran's teammates, allowing some of them to utilize the pillow anyway. Papua New Guinea, Kiribati, and Mauritius jump too late and die. Meanwhile, Uzbekistan attempts to throw Kyrgyzstan into the basket, but Kyrgyzstan falls and dies. The remaining contestants race to the end, and Shut Up Sudan ends up losing. At the annexation, a bomb goes off. Unknown to the team, it's the same bomb Brunei planted at the start. It cuts to the UAE awakening from being knocked out. It is then revealed that Syria and Iran died from the bomb instantly, and its resulting shockwave blew Finland and Belgium to their deaths. Slovenia is also killed, but being a team leader, she just respawns. Estonia is left severely injured from the blast, but in the end, an elimination vote is issued, resulting in a 2-2 tie between Slovenia and Estonia. Taiwan institutes a tiebreaker challenge, which Slovenia loses, resulting in her elimination. And finally, episode 50, Game Changer. The final episode of the series so far begins with Vatican City explaining some new rules, starting with team swapping. This episode's really explanation heavy, so if you're watching this instead of watching the first 50 episodes, I would honestly recommend watching this and then still watching episode 50, because it explains some pretty hefty things that are gonna happen for multiple episodes. The first new rule is team swapping. Players are now allowed to switch teams before challenges and after annexations. However, they are unable to form any new teams, as that ship has sailed. And team captains cannot switch, or else their team captainship will immediately be voided, whether they switch back to their original team or not. Hearing this, Eritrea immediately switches to Murica, because he doesn't care. Also, every annexation from here onward will be a single elimination. Before the challenge, Palestine introduces a twist. Everyone is made 3D printed, with the team leaders being cyan and everyone else being purple. Every time someone dies, they lose a life. Purple meaning 1 life, and cyan meaning 2. Once someone loses all of their lives, they are no longer 3D printed and are eliminated from the twist. However, murder only counts towards the twist if it is against someone with more lives than you. Breaking this rule means that you will lose a life instead of the person you killed. People who are already eliminated from the twist are free to be murdered and murder others. Eventually, throughout multiple future episodes, the last person left 3D printed will get a special prize. The challenge is to parkour across a pillow using brick platforms. The teams quarrel, but halfway through, Cameroon and Brunei begin to fight, as Cameroon does not want Brunei to win the prize, but nothing comes of it. In the end, 19 Pixel Black Line barely escapes with a win, or at least not a loss, and America loses. At the annexation ceremony, Taiwan introduces yet another rule that will exist until further notice. Along with having single eliminations only, this episode also introduces the pinwheel. Any contestant that is up for annexation may choose to blow on the pinwheel. Once it stops spinning, the color that is closest to the top determines the outcome. If it lands on green, then that contestant is completely immune from elimination. But if it lands on red, that contestant gets a penalty vote. No matter what the outcome is, if someone chooses to spin the pinwheel, they will be unable to vote. The contestants will be asked whether they want to spin the pinwheel before discussion starts. Nobody decides to spin the pinwheel, and discussion begins with the UK convincing the US and Canada to vote for the Gambia instead of the obvious target, Russia. In the end, in a 4-3-3 vote, the Gambia is eliminated. Laughing at the results of the elimination, Russia condemns the USA for going along with UK's suggestion. The UK admits that his intention of eliminating the Gambia was just because the Gambia voted him all those years back. Russia expects the USA and the UK to be enemies after this, but the USA forgives the UK. Being sick of all the drama, the two remainders of the Jumpers Alliance, Thailand and Myanmar, switch to Shut Up Sudan at the end of the episode. Today, SFGP has 49 contestants remaining. These are the remaining team captains, and here are the current alliances. I hope you found this video helpful, and stay tuned for Strive for Global Power 51!